Okay, so we have two pinch pots here. This quantity started as, ooh, I guess I would say one orange, regular orange, cut in half to create two pinch pots. And I pinched mine pretty thin. They started out a little floppy, so I left them sitting when they were a little thicker while doing other things so they could stiffen a little bit. And then I've been gradually refining them, making them a little bit stronger just through the handling. So I had to adjust the lip a few times to get everything to line up well. But we are at the point where things are connecting everywhere. I want to have it right so that we can go ahead and start the score and slip and get it put together. So you've done this before. You know how to turn two pinch pots into an orb. You did it with your orb vase. So I'm doing this on a larger scale just so that you can see the features a little better when I demonstrate them for the head. You will be doing, let's see, I suppose actually my quantity of clay was closer to a navel orange when I divided it in half. You're going to have kind of a small orange that you divide in half and then pinch, maybe even smaller than an orange, more like a tangerine. Okay, so I scored the edges. I'm going to add some slip. And remember, you're going to score and slip both parts. Remember, with your scoring tool, you want to use one of these serrated edges as opposed to something that's going to create really deep gouges that could potentially trap air when you push the pieces together. So now I will line these up as carefully as I can. Sometimes you have to make little adjustments. My goal here is to not have any of the sides dip or collapse inward. So I almost had to think of shaping the lip to start to flare out just a little bit. So now it's together, but for me to actually weld it, I'm going to have to add some clay along the seam. So I'm going to have like a little loose coil that I add just to keep it from thinning out. So I'm going to set my unwelded orb to the side. Back this up a little so you can see. And you don't have to do this as some beautiful long continuous coil because it's just going to get rubbed into the surface anyway. But the nice thing about rolling a coil is you get so much surface contact when you're initially rolling it out that it dries pretty quickly. So I'm already at the moisture content that I want. And I'm not going to weld it immediately. I'm going to get the coil onto both sides. So it's going all the way around. So again, I'm starting it in my hand just to get it rolling. And if you really struggle with coils, you can do like a sloppy pinch method of coiling where you kind of just squeeze it all lumpy like, because like I said, you're going to weld it in anyway. Just don't leave it too thick because you don't want to have a big bloated middle section there. Okay, so I'm down to my roughly a ½ inch, which is more thickness than I really need, but I know that I'm going to kind of remove some when I start the welding process anyway. Okay. So here's my weird hamburger that I am now going to start to weld. And you can weld with your fingers or you can weld with a tool. Because I know this is really thin, it's going to have a tendency to collapse with pressure. So I really think I need to use a tool. And I kind of wish I would have grabbed that before I started this. I did not. So I'm going to grab whichever tool is handy right now. And I'm just going to drag the surface of the clay. So I'm not applying a lot of pressure. I'm just dragging the coil onto one half of this orb. I'll do that going all the way around. And then I'll drag the other half of the coil. Again, this should be just review for you since you've done this before. I just know it's been a while, so I'm restarting the tutorial here so you can have a little refresher. And then once this all gets put together and it's sealed well, I need to right away make sure I've got a vent somewhere in it so that it doesn't crack at the thinnest point when it's trying to dry and shrink up a little bit. Okay, I made it all the way around, welding that first half of the coil, and now I'll do the other side. ugly first, pretty later. You just get it together, lumps and all. Don't try and smooth it yet. It's got to be stronger before you do any surface refinement. And really, this almost looks like the beginning of hair. So if you are making a head, there's maybe some of this that you want to just leave like that and start to add to it. But I'm going to smooth it out just so you can see what your sort of starting point is. And then you know that you have options for the hair, because maybe yours is a baldy. Okay, so that's all on there. I'm going to kind of press it against one another just to make sure it's really well connected. And then I can take any sort of tool that's got kind of a flat edge to it. So I'm taking the smooth side of my scoring rib, just kind of knocking off some of that excess. Again, I'm not trying to go for pretty yet, just removing some bulk. And if I didn't do a good job welding it there, I can re-expose the crack. I want to be really careful in not doing that. So I think I'm going to back off with that technique I was using. It's not as effective as I had hoped. It's kind of re-exposing the seam there. So I'm just going to go back to my finger. And I'm working against the seam instead of with the seam. So with the seam would be this way, against the seam is perpendicular. Working with the seam is going to tend to promote collapse. Okay, getting around to the other side again. You can see where I originally used that rib. And it sticks to me and kind of just gets in my way, so I'm kind of knocking it off onto the table there, and I'll clean that up in a little bit. Making sure my computer's staying awake so I don't have the problem I had the last time I tried to record this, which is my laptop timed out and I was just talking to myself. It didn't get recorded at all. Alright, everything's welded together. Again, the surface isn't lovely, that's not the point right now. I just want a nice, strong orb. Okay. So I do need to let this kind of set up, get connected. I'm going to wrap it so that it doesn't over dry, but I'm not going to put any spray bottle stuff in there, no squirts of water, no sponges, no damp paper towels. I just need for the moisture to even out. But before I do that, there's one thing I have to do to allow for shrinking when drying. Not that it's going to dry like crazy because I'm wrapping it, but we still want to protect those weak areas from shrinking faster than everything else. So I need a vent hole. I can put it anywhere, really. I haven't even worked this into the ultimate shape that I want it to have necessarily, but what I'm going to do is kind of feel around for somewhere that already feels kind of soft. Like right there is pretty soft. That spot's soft. Got more than one area that I'm considering is making my hole, because if it's soft, it's probably thinner. I think I'm going to go with that one. It's one like really precise location here. So I'm just going to put my little needle tool pinhole in it, and I'll smooth the surface tomorrow. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put that in a bag for tonight, and then we'll move on to stage 2 in the next video. Okay, don't forget to clean up well, and make sure there's no air in the bag, or try and get as much air out as you can, and no holes in the bag. Wrap it up nice and tight.